Hello, and welcome to our webcast. I'm Amy Pendergrass with Moss Adams, and I'm going to get us started for today's session, How Technology Advances Affect the Built World. This is the final session in our virtual 2021 Building Opportunity Conference. If you missed any of the sessions, on-demand versions are available in the links provided in your console, as well as on mossadams.com. And now, before we begin, I'm going to play our housekeeping video.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us. We're pleased to present another in our ongoing series of continuing professional education webcasts to help companies and individuals conquer challenges as they plan for what's next. Our presentation will start in a few moments. Before we begin, here are a few things to keep in mind. You can customize how you both view our presentation and interact with the presenter. For better viewing, close all other applications and turn up your speaker volume. You can also adjust window size and placement, or enter full screen mode using the controls at the top of the window or dragging the bottom right-hand corner to resize. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a series of icons, each relating to a different aspect of our session. You can download the group attendance sheet and a PDF copy of today's slides from the slide deck and handouts widget to the right of the slide view. You can ask our presenter questions during the webcast by typing a question in the Q&A window below the slide view and clicking Submit. We'll do our best to answer all questions during the presentation or follow up via email. If you experience technical difficulty during today's presentation, refresh your browser by hitting the F5 key. Today's session will offer you 1 CPE credit. To receive credit, you must meet the requirements as specified by the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy. You must attend at least 50 minutes of the session and respond to at least 75% of the polling questions, which we'll ask throughout today's presentation. To respond to a poll, click the button next to your answer. We'll track your progress and alert you when you've earned CPE credit. You can then click the certificate icon in the CPE Progress widget to open a PDF file that you can save to your computer. Don't worry if you can't download your PDF certificate today. We'll email a copy to you in 2 weeks. If you're attending this webcast in a group, you must complete our attendance sheet to receive CPE credit. The attendance sheet is available in the slide deck and handouts widget. Please have all group members sign it and send only 1 sheet per group. Also note that CPE credit can be awarded only to participants registered as themselves and isn't available to participants who view the on-demand version. As a reminder, the presentation you're about to see isn't legal, investment, or accounting advice. We encourage you to seek the counsel of a professional service provider to apply this content to your specific circumstances.
All right, and now I would like to turn the floor over to Elaine Ervin, National Practice Leader of the Construction, Real Estate, Hospitality, and Professional Services Group here at Moss Adams. Elaine?
Thank you, Amy. I appreciate this. I am really excited about today's panel because, you know, technology continues to evolve at a rapid pace. We see it in our everyday lives. And today's panel is going to discuss how they've incorporated technology into their businesses. So I think we're going to have a great conversation. And what I would like to do is have each of the panelists introduce themselves, and then we'll get to the questions. What I will do, I think I'm going to start, since Anil, you're first, if you could introduce yourself, that would be wonderful.
Great, thanks, Elaine. So pleased to introduce myself. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Homebound. And prior to joining Homebound, I have a prior background in investment banking and private equity for about 16 years. Homebound is a tech-enabled home builder. We were started about 4 years ago. Our company was founded by our co-founder and CEO, Nikki Petchett, and our other co-founder, Jack Abraham. We started rebuilding single-family homes in areas that were struck by large wildfires, primarily throughout Northern and Southern California, and built a pretty innovative platform for the design and construction of these homes, and have now expanded that platform into non-disaster markets in Texas as well that are experiencing significant housing shortages, and plan to expand into another 6 to 8 markets in the next 12 to 18 months. We're financed by a number of experienced prop tech venture capital investors and other institutional investment firms. And we have a team of about 140 people blending expertise from construction, technology, and other sectors.
Thank you. All right, Colin, let's hear about you.
Hey, hi everyone. I am Colin Wiel, founder and chairman of Mynd, MYND. We're a platform for single family rental. A little about my background is I was an engineer automatic control systems at Boeing early in my career, and then became one of the first Java programmers at Netscape. Founded my first company in the late 90s doing e-commerce infrastructure, and then sold that company. And then after that, on the side, I began investing in real estate a bit, but didn't really know that much about it, just enough to be dangerous, but really applied a kind of engineering analytical mindset towards it. And then in 2009, you sort of right on the heels of the foreclosure crisis, began buying single family rentals and started a company called Waypoint Homes with my co-founder, Doug Bryan, who then also is my co-founder at Mynd. But at Waypoint, we became the first company to scale single family rental. And we ended up, we started buying 2 to 3 homes a month and then 4 to 5 homes a month. And a few years later, we were buying 600 homes a month. And this was in a long-term buy and hold strategy. So we amassed over 17,000 homes across 10 markets in the US and created a public REIT called Starwood Waypoint Residential Trust, which ended up merging with and becoming part of Invitation Homes. And the reason we were able to scale single family rental was by leveraging technology in ways that hadn't really been done for that problem before. And so Doug and I went on to start Mynd about 5 years ago to be the platform for other investors who want to do single family rental, both mom and pop, individual investors, and also large institutional investors. And now we have over 700 employees, and the company is largely built on our own technology platform that we've built from the ground up. And we still view this as very, very early days for the company, and we're growing rapidly and looking to really change the way that people are investing in single family rentals.
Wonderful. Thank you. And John, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, nice to be with you all here today. I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. My name is John Marks. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Swinerton Incorporated. I've been with Swinerton for over 25 years. It's been my only real job has been with Swinerton. Started as a union laborer and worked my way through various roles at the organization, but really supporting technology for the last 20 years for Swinerton. Personally, I'm very passionate about developing people, whether it's in Swinerton or outside of Swinerton, and also very passionate about reducing our industry's impact on the environment and creating a more sustainable industry for our communities. Swinerton is a 133-year-old builder, founded in 1888. We're currently operating across the United States with the exception of Alaska. In recent years, we've grown at really what feels like a breakneck pace, both in terms of geographic reach, but also in terms of the markets we serve. Today, we build everything. We're a commercial builder. We build everything from renovating bank lobbies to erecting skyscrapers. I like to say what we don't do is single family homes, roads, bridges, and highways, and plants and manufacturing facilities. But everything else we will build for you. Though it's not been particularly innovative, what's really enabled our growth has been technology, and that has allowed us to scale and at the same time really remain focused on our core strengths, which is the built environment and building effective and delivering value to our clients through the effective, efficient, and quality construction of what our clients require.
Wonderful. Thank you. You know, what I love about this panel is the fact that we've got some newer companies that are embracing technology, and then we've got a company that was incorporated in 1888 that has continued to evolve over time, and watching them do their evolution into embracing technology. And so I'm excited about what we're going to learn today. I think it's going to be fascinating. So with that, we're going to jump in, before we jump into our questions, do a polling question. So Amy, I'll turn it over to you to bring that up.
All right, thank you, Elaine. So our first polling question is to get a feel for the audience that we have today, and it's what industry do you represent? A, construction, B, real estate, C, engineering, D, architecture, E, hospitality, or F, other. And to submit your response, you're going to want to click the button next to the answer you choose and hit submit. And if you cannot see the submit button, you will just need to enlarge your slide area to see that. And it looks like people are responding pretty quickly here. We'll leave it up for another 5 seconds. All right, here you go.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, as we can see, the majority of the participants are in construction and real estate. So this should be a wonderful topic for all of those participants. And so with that, I am going to launch the first question. So can you tell us what technology and innovation means to your company? And I think, Colin, I think I'm going to start with you.
Great. Yeah. So we're in an industry, really, this single family rental space, has been around and huge if you think of it as an industry, for many, many decades, or even more than 100 years, with individual investors owning rental properties, and then typically, a small property management company will do a lot of the blocking and tackling. And there are about 30,000 of these small property management companies around the US. But nobody's ever scaled the industry. It's completely a mom and pop industry. And in order to scale, it requires technology. It's why it had been considered unscalable previously. And so for Mynd, it's about providing a great experience to renters, providing a great experience to owners. Those are both our customers. And a lot of that involves automation. If you think about, for example, Amazon, they have automated just about everything. So if you want to check your order status on Amazon, it's very easy to do. You just go on the website and see what the status of your order is and track it. They also have an 800 number that you can call and ask about your order. But nobody ever does that. Nobody wants to do that. It saves Amazon a lot of money not to have to staff that call center with a lot of people. But more importantly, it provides a better user experience for us, for the customers, to be able to just go online and quickly see the status of their order. So we think it's the same thing in the property management world, whether it's for the renters who are managing their rent payments and repair and maintenance requests, or whether it's for the owners who want to know exactly what's going on with their property in real time.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I know I get annoyed if my only option is to call somebody. It's like, no, that takes too much time. So great point. Anil.
Yeah, thanks. So in terms of Homebound's mission, maybe I'll start with that. So our mission as a company is to make it possible for anyone, anywhere to build a home using technology. So technology and innovation are through and through, absolutely what we're all about. And when we think about our strategy, technology enables making it easier and more efficient for customers to build homes. And the way we think about that is very similar to what Colin was mentioning. This is a huge industry, very fragmented. There are a number, hundreds of thousands of small builders in local markets building single family homes, as well as several large production builders that are publicly traded. And it's got one of the lowest levels of technology penetration of any industry, along with healthcare. So if you look at that, there's just a lot of opportunity as you look at single-family residential construction and utilizing technology just to make it more efficient, number one, and then number two, provide a better customer experience. So the way we think about that for Homebound is that we are building homes on our proprietary software platform internally. We use those software platforms on our end for our operational teams, but customers also have access to them as well. And so that provides efficiency, but it also provides an unprecedented consumer experience. And really what we're trying to do as a company is just utilize technology to convert people who would be looking to buy an existing home to build with Homebound, as well as folks that were looking to build a home with other builders to build with our company. And we just want to make it as easy as possible in that experience.
Wonderful. And John?
I think Colin and Anil hit on probably the most important part here, which is technology is an enabler of innovation. Right? On its own, technology does nothing. But combine that with smart, engaged people and a culture of smart risk-taking, and Colin and Anil have done that with their businesses, then these amazing things can really happen in our industry and across industries. For Swinerton, continual innovation is what kept us going strong for 133 years. It's how we keep our people safe. It's how we remain competitive. It's how we deliver value to our customers and the communities within which we build. Even back in the 1890s, it was being the first to use steel reinforced concrete in construction was our innovation then. Today, it's using LiDAR imaging to quality check a deck before we pour the concrete in it. But that technology may change, that culture and that attitude of innovation and always looking to take that next step, to take those smarter risks. I mean, that's the difference between 133 years and 33 months of the lifespan of a company, is that continuous innovation and that attitude.
Yeah, great point. I really appreciate that perspective. So to expand upon this a little further, then, how has technology impacted your strategy as a company?
Well,
I guess I'll start with John. Go ahead.
I'll just take that thread forward because, it's enabled us to see today well beyond our traditional role as a general contractor, even beyond what was a historical role as a turnkey builder, to really think about how we can control our destiny through the entire value chain of the built environment. And I think Anil can really exemplify this in what he's doing for home building. But it's really from design to materials manufacturing to self-performed building, all the way into building operations, even all the way back to materials extraction. This visibility into the entire process, the entire life cycle of the built environment is informing our strategy. All this has resulted in what we call our March to 2030. It's our vision of a future where as a vertically integrated business, we can deliver better value to our customers, better and safer livelihoods to our employee owners, and improve the communities we live and work in. So that has really informed that strategy for us.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue into you, Anil.
Yeah, I'd like to pick up on what John was just saying. He mentioned visibility and the entire system. And I actually think that is very key as we think about how technology impacts our strategy at Homebound. I think putting the entire system on a technology platform, which includes all the way back from the initial conversations and contacts with a customer through to all the trade partners that are doing work on a home, the other partners that we have externally and internally, all on the same platform, which can be quite difficult to do. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of, I would say, encouraging around value propositions of what the technology platform will deliver to those trade partners, to customers. But when they start seeing the value of what that tech platform can deliver, and they see that tangibly in terms of improved outcomes for their own businesses, that encourages a lot of adoption. And the way we think about this for Homebound is, we, as I was mentioning, want to build all of these homes on our software platform. The reason for that is because of this visibility point that John was bringing up, which is that customers can get transparency end to end into their build process. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this personally, just in terms of home building experiences that you've had or family members or friends have had. It can be a pretty painful process. And this is not to say that issues don't exist. They will exist. But I think actually providing that customer transparency in the process is key to delivering a better experience. And then also allows for a lot of efficiency, because you can track, and I get really excited about this as a CFO here as well, is you can track and actually measure advantages at each step of the process, removing idle time, optimizing schedules, and just continuing to improve that process as it's done today, but with the benefit of technology.
Absolutely. Colin, because you talked about transparency earlier, and so I think this is a great segue now into you, because I think there's some of the similarities.
Yeah, absolutely. So our whole strategy is based on the thesis that technology will allow us to scale a mom and pop industry, to be the first to scale and to provide a better service because of being at scale, having access to huge amounts of data, which can help inform decision making, and leveraging technology to provide transparency. I think with regard to this idea of taking a mom and pop industry and scaling it, the history of industries in America is full of industries that were at one time mom and pop industries, and then at some point in time they scaled. And it's because of technology that they were able to scale. And an early example, not that early, but quite a while ago, is Starbucks. So in the late 80s, Howard Schultz with Starbucks scaled the coffee shop industry. And prior to that, all the coffee shops in America were individually owned mom and pop coffee shops. And Starbucks was able to scale. And, Howard Schultz attributes the success of Starbucks, the very ability of Starbucks to scale coffee shops, to the emergence of client-server computing. He said it was the emergence of client-server computing that enabled us to take all of the complexity of a local coffee shop and feed it up to the mothership and make sense of it and manage this whole operation. And another example is Uber, which transformed the taxi industry. And it was the emergence of mobile computing, of smartphones, that enabled Uber to do that. They couldn't have done it before that technology was ready. And we think for our industry, it's really cloud computing, mobile computing, and AI together. Those three technologies are at a point where it makes sense for our industry, property management for single-family rental and helping people buy single-family rentals at scale. It makes sense today where it wouldn't have made sense 20 years ago.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that as well. Colin, just tangibly, as you think about single-family residential construction, on the point that Colin just made, if you think about technology adoption now versus 30, 50 years ago, and I'm sure John will have lots of perspective on this as well, given Swinerton's history. All our trade partners are on job sites on their cell phones, at all times, and so just the ability to use software, it has to be mobile enabled and mobile friendly in that respect. There's no ability to go back to the office and utilize the desktop, or there's some ability, but it's very delayed. And so that's an absolute essential element of what we need to bring to the table to be able to encourage trade partners to adopt the platform. Everything happens on mobile, over text, but you can make the system, efficient enough and user-friendly enough to be able to use in those forums, and then that can encourage significant adoption today versus what was possible historically, because those trade partners have always been on job sites, and getting technology to reach them is critical.
Absolutely. Great points. So we've been talking about how, that this has been advantageous, for transparency, customer experience, and so forth. Do you see that this technology has streamlined your operations? I guess I'll let Colin, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, technology for sure. We've built at Mynd, we've built our own technology platform completely from the ground up, including building our own accounting platform, because accounting is at the heart of property management, right? It's about the flow of money and which vendors have been paid and what rents have been paid. And so there's no way to separate the accounting platform from the rest of the operations. And the traditional approach might have been to use third-party products and kind of stitch them together. But for our vision of having a complete seamless operation, there was no one, because this is a new industry that's never operated at scale. At least it's new in the sense that at scale it's new. And so nobody's built software. There's not like a third-party ERP platform to do it. So we've built our own platform from the ground up, specifically to streamline operations as much as possible, to automate as many of the decisions in the chain of decisions that need to be made and workflows as possible. And that's how the whole company works. Everybody of our 700 employees in the company are on our own custom-built platform all day long, managing their activities.
John, I would be fascinated at your input on this, because construction has been very hands-on, I guess is the best way to put it, for many, many years. And so I would be fascinated to hear what your thoughts.
Absolutely. And Anil was kind of hitting on it earlier. I mean, it's all about getting better information in the hands of decision makers in time to support that decision making. So whether it's in the C-suite or it's a foreman on a crew, getting that information in their hands when it can make a difference is really what has been streamlining our operations. And I think most of our peer companies would say exactly the same thing. It's right in the world of construction today, where so much of it is a custom build, that there are thousands of decisions that have to be made every day up and down the business in order to be effective. And the marginally improving those decisions makes big impacts on the business. So I'd also say, better information allows people to take better risks. They can place better bets on their future by having more information on what that could look like, whether it is the means and methods of hanging drywall or the next business to invest in. That really makes a difference to our bottom line and to all of our employees. I mean, we still make plenty of mistakes, right? But I would say that those are smaller mistakes that we can see sooner, so we can learn faster and we can keep moving forward. Right? It's less and less often you hit the brick wall because you see that brick wall coming, and can take all the steps to pivot and keep moving. For example, today we can deliver a parking garage in 30% less time through the use of repeatable, measurable processes from design through procurement and construction. So we've in effect productized just a very common element of the built environment. The parking garage is everywhere. And they're all pretty much the same thing. But we couldn't have done that 5 years ago. It has been the ability to intake, process, data, turn it into actionable information that has made the difference.
Oh, that's interesting. That's quite an efficiency gain. Anil, your thoughts? I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think pretty similarly to what Colin and John mentioned. We, like Colin mentioned, we're also building an end-to-end technology system, so that will cover our lot acquisition efforts, our pre-construction activities, our procurement activities, and all construction-related activities as well. And one of the benefits of that, I'll try to make it as tangible as possible. We generate for every one of our projects a build graph, what we call build graph, that includes all 600 plus steps in building a home. So that's laid out within our technology system, and that's based on the particular specifics of that home that's to be constructed. And again, coming back to what John mentioned before, that provides incredible visibility inside the company around all the different owners of those various steps and what the dependencies and interdependencies are between those steps going forward. In terms of streamlining operations, that helps quite a bit in terms of speed and cost against local builders that we're competing with. One of the biggest drivers is around idle time. So you just want to optimize the schedule as much as possible to reduce idle time within the builds. And one of the things that's come up that's quite topical today is supply chain challenges. So if we see that particular parts are not available within certain windows, we can update that within the build graph, and it will track what the further dependent steps are on those activities so that we can adjust in real time and, save days, idle days, against those builds. And, that's critical in terms of streamlining our operations, to be able to deal with issues like that. Again, I mentioned, before, home building is filled with different issues, and it's all about managing those issues and, reducing as much as possible idle time. And, like what John mentioned, driving up to that 30% type, time and cost advantage against, folks that are not using the platform.
Yeah, boy. That makes a big difference for sure. So I'm going to have to interrupt for a moment and have Amy do another polling question. If you could pull one up, Amy.
All right, thank you. So our second polling question, does your company currently utilize technology to improve customer experience? A, yes, B, somewhat, C, very little, D, no, or E, not sure. And then also just a reminder that if you want to receive CPE credit for today's webcast, you will need to respond to at least 3 of the 4 polling questions. We'll leave it up for another 5 seconds. Okay, here are the results.
All right. This is great because this is going to tee up our very next question. It says basically 44% of the individuals said that they do use technology to improve their customer experience. And so perfect timing because I'm interested from the 3 of you as to how your use of technology has changed the customer experience for your customers. And so, Colin, I'll just start with you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, our customer experience, I guess we think of renters as our primary customer. Owners are sort of from another lens, our customers. The renters, it starts when they're prospects and they're discovering the house and deciding that they want to set up a showing. Instead of having to make a phone call and then have a live showing, we have a process where we verify their ID, including, with them showing their driver's license. And then we're allowing them to do a self-showing, which they all prefer. It allows much more flexibility in scheduling. And then the whole leasing process is an electronic experience, basically DocuSign and a flow that we take them through. And then once they become a renter, there's an app that they have where they can submit service requests and track the status of those service requests, and they can pay their rent electronically through the app. and really, very rarely would need to actually speak with any person. And then with the owner's hat on, the owner's getting transparency, they're getting great reporting and information about what's going on with the house. So for example, if there's a service request, they can see the status, they can see the quotes from the vendors, they can see pictures of what the problem is. So again, it's about eliminating the need to pick up the phone.
Excellent. Anil.
Yeah, I think, again, similarly to how Colin was describing it, I think in terms of technology with the customer experience in single-family home building, there's just not a lot of technology in that world today for the customer. There's technology that's being utilized to improve processes and efficiency between the home builder and trade partners or other members in the ecosystem. But as a customer, most of you can probably relate, in home building, you typically are dealing with third parties over email. You will actually be doing a lot on paper, interestingly enough. And there's just not a lot of technology that's in place for you to interact with as a customer in home building. And we see this in a lot of parallel industries like home buying. There's been a lot of advancements in technology. Car buying, there have been a lot of advancements in technology, but we're not quite seeing it in home building yet, which is something that we're very excited about as a company because of what we feel like we can bring to the customer experience. So there are two main ways that technology are going to impact the customer experience for Homebound. One is what we call our homeowner portal, which, tying back to what John was saying before, provides the transparency into schedule and budget, where you are exactly in the build, what's going on, and then where you are in terms of your budget and payments that you've made to date. That may sound simple, but it's actually pretty transformative in terms of how a customer interacts with their build experience. And then the second thing is we'd like to make it easier for customers to design and build homes. And what we mean with that is effectively offering a one-stop shop online for customers in that experience, where they'll also have the ability to interact with Homebound professionals directly face-to-face, but they can go through, pick their lot, pick one of our Ready Plan products, make adjustments to that Ready Plan online, and then even put down a deposit with financing to purchase the home. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for a customer to interact with us in that experience.
That's great. John.
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar story in commercial and multifamily building as it is in home building. I would say it's, to be generous, it's a uneven application of technologies to improve the customer experience. But I think a really embarrassingly little advancement has been made in this space. Certainly, customers today can see in real time the progress of their building, whether it's through photo telemetry and other forms of 3D imaging. It's certainly a lot of process improvements, but when it comes to that customer experience that we all as consumers expect, right? You order something, you know where it is in its manufacturing process, its delivery process, you know when it's going to show up at your door, and you can check on that at any time of day or night. That doesn't really exist yet in our industry, and but it is people like Anil who are working quickly to change that. And I think that consumer experience is informing our clients and creating that demand. So it is inevitable that kind of experience will occur, and that kind of transparency of the process will land for all of us. But it's certainly just in its infancy now. I think what is fundamentally changing the value proposition in construction is the advent of prefabrication and other methods of controlled, repeatable delivery methods. So from that perspective of the customer experience being, I get a quality product in a reasonable amount of time at the right cost, that is certainly improving dramatically. I mentioned the productization of parking garage, but this is happening across the industry, from modular homes and even modular high-rises to pre-laminate or pre-engineered structural systems, just to better visibility and control of the supply chain. Customers are starting to see that the built environment is less a collection of one-off custom solutions and seeing it more as products that can be customized just enough to fit their needs while improving that cost and time to deliver. So I think that space, I wouldn't underestimate the impact of the process improvements, because that's making a real difference to our customers in terms of value proposition. And a lot of that really just comes down to means and methods that are well established in other industries, such as manufacturing, and bringing those to our industry and into construction.
Yeah, you make some really good points there, and that makes me think about when you start looking forward. How do you think the built world can take advantage of technology to innovate and take advantage of opportunity? And so maybe I'll just start with you, John, since you kind of led me to this question, and then we'll go to the other two panelists.
Well, I think barring environmental catastrophe, which is an entirely different discussion, it is inevitable that the built world will continue to take advantage of technology and continue to create opportunities. If it's not the existing players like Swinerton, and it's going to be new players like Colin and Anil coming with new ideas and new perspectives to the industry, right? If it's not disruption from within the industry, it'll be disruption from outside of the industry. There's just different ways of moving this industry forward, an infinite number of different ways, and those creative ideas will always come forward. That's how this market dynamic works. I think our biggest challenge is productivity. We're one of the few industries that have slipped in terms of productivity over the last several decades. But there's a lot of opportunities in that area. Sensors are giving us better visibility into our work. Data and analytics and cloud computing tools are turning that data into actionable information in time to make a difference. Mobile devices are delivering that information to our workforce at the face of the work. And even robotics are able to take that data and turn it into automated action in an environment that isn't even close to consistent. This isn't a clean room floor that we're talking about. Automation has to be able to work in very dynamic environments, which creates incredible processing requirements. But that intersection of the Internet of Things, data and analytics, cloud computing, mobility, and robotics is revealing all sorts of opportunities, all sorts of solutions, big and small. So a great example of this is automated layout. A laser scanner will identify the area to be mapped on the floor, a concrete floor. That information is processed and delivered to a layout robot, which is basically an inkjet printer on wheels. That robot prints the layout on the concrete deck with an operator assisting with their iPad. So all those technologies intersected to turn what was a pretty onerous process, highly dependent on specialized skilled labor that was incredibly error prone, into something that could be, the efficiencies are improved vastly, the quality is improved vastly, and the requirement for specialized labor is dramatically reduced. So I think that's a great example of technology providing an opportunity in our industry. And, and that's just one of hundreds of such opportunities.
That's great. Colin, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think so many businesses require a tremendous number of decisions to be made, and the quality of those decisions are critical, and the cost of making those decisions is high. And so for a lot of automation is about decision making, right? Sort of automation of decision making. And that's something that has been changing and is only going to change at a faster and faster pace. And a lot of it's about AI. And, we all hear a lot about AI coming, and there are ways that it's impacting our lives. And I think, one that people are very aware of is that automated driving is coming. And if you think of what driving is, a lot of it is just making thousands of decisions. Even probably every minute we're making 1,000 decisions when we're driving. And it's been a steady march forward towards autonomous driving of automobiles, and we're starting to get kind of close. It feels like we might be within 5 years of fully autonomous driving on the roads, with no driver at all. And in the same way, decisions like in my industry about like how should we set the rent for a house, or what's the best vendor to use for a repair job. Those are decisions that, with large amounts of data that we're now having access to, as John mentioned, with sensors and other sources of data, we can make better and better decisions automatically. And so those can be decisions that are better than a human can make and less expensive than a human can make. So that's, for Mynd, we're focused a lot on this complex traditionally people-oriented operation. And I think really, for so much of the built world, that applies. I also think, as much more to John and Anil's wheelhouse, is the automation of actual construction and doing it in a consistent environment, as John alluded to as well.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things right now in the industry is just when you think about technology disrupting this space, there's clearly a lot of opportunity in the built world, just given the low levels of technology penetration and some of the, I'd say, accompanying technologies that have really developed well, as Colin and John have been talking about. But I think there's some key decisions that we all need to think about as we think about technology disrupting this industry. One is incremental innovation versus, completely disruptive innovation. So one of the things, as a venture capital backed tech-enabled home builder, we often get compared to off-site modular builders that build homes completely off-site and then will transport them into place on a build site. And we're big believers in incremental changes to the build experience over time. So utilizing our technology to get more efficient, reduce idle time, improve transparency, as we've been talking about, but do it the same way that building has been done to date in terms of use of trade partners, shipping of materials to the job site. And we think with that will come improved adoption because, folks that utilize the platform will see the benefits associated with that technology platform and will see the value proposition of that. So that's one, I think, important theme. The other that I wanted to mention is for customers to have a really different customer experience, it's going to come to the back end as well. It's operationally very complex to build homes. And what we need to do is invest in the back end to be able to provide that transparency to customers. What looks like a very simple dashboard to customers is informed by a very complicated, operational dashboard that sits behind it. And it's an end-to-end system. As John and Colin were talking about earlier, you need to build that end-to-end system to be able to provide that transparency.
Wonderful. Amy, would you like to insert another polling question, please?
Sure. So our third polling question is, does your company utilize technology to improve operational business processes. A, yes. B, somewhat. C, very little. D, no. Or E, not sure. And then I've also had quite a few people ask if a recording of this webcast will be available so they can share it with their teams, and the answer is yes. We will be sending out a recording via email tomorrow to all attendees. Leave it up for a few more seconds. All right, here are the results.
Yes, this is great. The topic is timely, and we've got 62% that are utilizing technology to improve operational business processes. So the next question I want to jump into, because we hear about people constraints in the news every single day. All my clients face people constraints. You know, it's a hot topic, and it's a real problem. And so in your experience, how do you think innovation helps you recruit, retain, and develop talent? And so, Colin, I'm going to start with you.
Great. Yeah. I think the smartest workers out there, you know, they want to grow their career. They tend to be excited about technology and understand that in the future, technology is just going to become more and more important. So they want to be a part of, as they're building their resume over time, you know, they want to be part of a technology company. And I think, you know, and then once they're on board, they're empowered and excited by the use of technology. That's what we're experiencing. I mean, maybe it's because we're a technology company, so maybe it's a selection bias sampling problem, but I think it is the case that like the best workers want to be part of tech-oriented companies so that they're getting that experience and building their resume and just having a more positive work experience.
Wonderful. Anil, what are you seeing?
I think one of the most amazing things I feel about Homebound is basically we've been able to bring together, you know, experts from technology and construction all into the same company. And, you know, having those experts in construction work together with the experts in technology and experts from other sectors, I think it all comes together around the technology and our you know, desire and passion to bring technology into the built world, into, you know, single family residential construction in particular. So I think it's absolutely critical to helping us recruit and develop talent. You know, I think that's, you know, one of the main reasons a lot of us are here at Homebound and looking to transform this industry is around, you know, technology and innovation. And this also extends to our external business partners. You've heard me talk a lot about our trade partners and other business partners that want to use our technology to interface with customers. You know, I think that's what it's all about for us.
Yeah, definitely. John, you know, I'm really interested in your thoughts because construction has, you know, a reputation of not attracting people, you know, because it's construction. And so I would be interested in your thoughts around this.
And I think, I will just echo kind of what Colin and Anil said is, you know, it's simple. People want to work for dynamic, innovative companies. People want to work someplace where every idea is heard and even the failures are celebrated. That is, that's true in any industry and any business. For construction, I mean, I think it's just a well-kept secret in our industry. Construction is a very dynamic place to work. I mean, we are by nature and inclination problem solving because we have to do it every day, morning to night. You know, you're problem solving in the field or in the marketplace. We have to come out of it by necessity with humility, with tenacity, and with openness to any idea that could work. Our former CEO, and this was like 40 years ago, a guy named Ben Rafferty, he said at his retirement, and I'm totally paraphrasing here, that we don't know what the built environment is going to look like in the future. We don't even know if we're going to be living in buildings. He actually said this 40 years ago. But if we keep loose we will continue to lead in our industry. And what he was saying is that flexibility is where our success lies. Flexibility in our ideas, flexibility in our interactions with people. And I see it every day in our industry. So people may have this idea that we're this kind of stodgy industry that never changes. I mean, it's just not true. It changes every minute of every day. And it's when people come to this industry, they never leave because it's such a rewarding place to work.
Well, and all of you do complex things and build, what you end up building is pretty amazing. Amy, would you like to do the last polling question?
Yes. So our last polling question is, do you think that your company will utilize technology more heavily in the next 3 to 5 years? Yes, somewhat, no, or not sure. And then also, once you have completed all CPE requirements, you will be able to download a PDF of your certificate from the CPE progress window. And then also a reminder, if you attended today's presentation in a group and would like to receive credit, you must complete the group attendance sheet that is also in your console. Okay, here are the results.
Well, this is promising. I like this. 83% say yes. You guys have inspired a group of people to continue to, use technology and continue to innovate. So I think we have time we have a couple questions that come in. We've only got a few minutes left, but I'm going to read one of them, and I'll let whomever would like to answer this. It's a free-for-all. So automation of the building process can't show quality. Appearance can be perfect, even though serious defects could be present. How are you handling this?
Yeah, I can comment on that. I think it's absolutely true that as I was mentioning before, home building is definitely going to have certain issues that arise during the course of the build, and certain either repairs may be required or other things may be needed to fix those issues. I think as John was saying, Colin was saying, I think use of technology is all about increasing efficiency, but not at the expense of quality. Like we're looking to do absolutely the same quality jobs, if not better, than builders who are not on the platform. But we're just looking to reduce the amount of idle time and other inefficiencies that result from that. And we're also looking to provide transparency to customers around where they are in their build journey, and just give them that understanding. If it includes issues, including those issues from a transparency perspective, but just want to give them that transparency versus not utilizing technology where they wouldn't even be able to get that transparency. And that's actually one of the big, I think, unlocks as you think about technology and how it can change that experience.
Yeah, I mean, quality is, and this is a truism in the industry, whether it's high technology enabled or not, is quality is what counts. And every step of the way, quality has to be embedded in the construction process. It's, we are building structures that people live in. It has to be safe. It has to be quality built. And whether it's having inspectors on the ground at manufacturing facilities in China, or taking automated digital photos of the walls before they're closed in, quality checks are constant in the industry, and that technology doesn't change that. That's an attitude. That's a way of doing work. That is something that technology has to adapt to, not that we have to adapt to the technology.
Great response. I think that's spot on. Well, I want to thank you, John, Colin, and Anil, for your time today. This has been incredibly insightful. It's given me a lot of food for thought as I contemplate all the thoughts and ideas that have been conveyed today. So I want to thank you. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to turn it over to Amy to close this out.
All right, thank you, Elaine, and thank you to our panel for a great discussion today and for being part of our Building Opportunity Conference. And to our audience, if you met all CPE requirements, you can download your certificate now from the CPE progress window. I will keep the console open for a few minutes to give you time to download. If you have any issues with that, a copy will be emailed within 3 weeks. Finally, here is a link to an online survey for today's presentation. Please take a moment to complete this survey as your feedback is very important to us. Thank you for joining us. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.